Imagine you're on a flight from New York to Sydney. You look at the map on the seatback screen and notice something strange for modern aviation. The plane seems to avoid the bottom of the Earth completely. It flies around Antarctica instead of straight across it. Why? Is there something dangerous hidden above the frozen continent? Are pilots forbidden from flying there? Or is Antarctica simply too extreme for modern aviation? The truth is far more fascinating than most people realize. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why the coldest place on Earth remains one of the most challenging regions for airplanes to cross. Many people believe airplanes are not allowed to fly over Antarctica. Some internet theories even claim there's a secret restriction or a hidden danger that governments don't want people to know about. But that's not true. Aircraft can legally fly over Antarctica. In fact, some flights do. Research aircraft regularly travel across the continent. Military missions have operated there, and several sightseeing flights have flown above Antarctica, giving passengers breathtaking views of endless ice and snow. So, if planes are allowed to fly there, why don't we see hundreds of commercial flights crossing Antarctica every day? The answer comes down to a combination of geography, safety, technology, and economics. Antarctica is the most isolated continent on Earth. It covers roughly 14 million square kilometers. Nearly 98% of it is covered by ice. And unlike other continents, it has almost no cities, highways, hospitals, or major infrastructure. If you're flying over Europe, North America, or Asia and something goes wrong, there are usually dozens of airports within reach. But over Antarctica, there may be nothing but ice for thousands of kilometers. This creates one of the biggest concerns in aviation: emergency landings. Commercial airlines must always consider what happens if an engine fails, a passenger experiences a medical emergency, or a critical system stops working. Having nearby airports is essential. Over Antarctica, those options are extremely limited. Then there's the weather. Antarctica is the coldest place on Earth. The lowest temperature ever recorded there was approximately minus 89 degrees Celsius, or minus 128 degrees Fahrenheit. Even at cruising altitude, temperatures are already incredibly low. Adding Antarctic conditions creates even more challenges. Jet fuel can begin to freeze at extremely low temperatures. Airlines carefully monitor fuel temperature during long flights. If fuel becomes too cold, it can thicken and potentially affect engine performance. Modern aircraft have systems to help manage this risk, but flying through the coldest region on Earth still requires extra planning. The weather can also change rapidly. Powerful winds, snowstorms, and poor visibility can make operations difficult. And if a plane had to land unexpectedly, surviving in such conditions would be a serious challenge. Another issue involves navigation. Near the poles, traditional magnetic compasses become less reliable. That's because the Earth's magnetic field behaves differently near the magnetic poles. While modern aircraft rely heavily on GPS and advanced navigation systems, polar regions can still create unique operational challenges. Communication can also be more difficult. Many communication systems were originally designed to serve areas where most people live. The farther aircraft travel toward the poles, the fewer communication options may be available. Modern satellite technology has improved this situation dramatically, but Antarctica remains one of the most remote places on Earth. Pilots and airlines must prepare for these limitations. One of the biggest reasons commercial airlines avoid Antarctica is something called ETOPS. ETOPS stands for Extended Range Twin Engine Operational Performance Standards. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Many modern airliners have only two engines. ETOPS regulations determine how far these aircraft can fly from a suitable diversion airport. If one engine fails, the aircraft must still be able to reach a safe landing location. Over Antarctica, suitable airports are extremely scarce. This makes route planning much more difficult. Airlines often choose routes where alternative airports are available along the way. That significantly increases safety. And because airlines prioritize safety above everything else, they generally avoid routes that offer very few emergency options. But perhaps the biggest reason is actually economics. Airlines don't choose routes based on what looks good on a map. They choose routes that move passengers efficiently. And surprisingly, very few major city pairs benefit from flying over Antarctica. Most international traffic occurs between North America, Europe, and Asia. For those routes, flying over the Arctic often makes more sense. That's why polar routes over the Arctic are common. Flights between cities such as New York, Tokyo, London, and Beijing frequently use northern routes to save time and fuel. In contrast, there simply aren't many heavily traveled routes that require crossing Antarctica. The demand isn't there. And when demand is low, airlines have little incentive to deal with the additional complexity.
Despite all these challenges, some flights have crossed Antarctica. Research organizations regularly operate aircraft on scientific missions. These flights support studies involving climate change, ice sheets, wildlife, and atmospheric science. There have also been special commercial sightseeing flights. Passengers board large aircraft and spend hours viewing Antarctica from above without actually landing. The views are spectacular. Imagine looking down at endless glaciers, frozen mountain ranges, and a landscape so vast that it appears almost alien. Some long-distance flights have also crossed parts of Antarctica under specific circumstances. So the idea that planes never fly over Antarctica is simply incorrect. They do. It's just uncommon.
Now, imagine the worst-case scenario. What if an aircraft crashed in Antarctica? Rescue operations would be incredibly difficult. The continent's extreme weather, isolation, and lack of infrastructure make emergency response much harder than in most parts of the world. Search teams could face severe storms, freezing temperatures, and enormous distances. This is another reason airlines prefer routes with better access to airports and rescue services. The fewer risks involved, the better.
So why don't airplanes fly over Antarctica? It's not because they're forbidden, it's not because of secret government rules, and it's not because the continent is somehow impossible to cross. The real reasons are much simpler. Antarctica offers very few emergency landing options. Its weather is among the harshest on Earth. Navigation and communication can be more challenging. Airline safety regulations become more restrictive. And most importantly, there isn't enough commercial demand to justify regular flights. The frozen continent remains one of the last great frontiers of aviation. Not because aircraft can't fly there, but because for most airlines, there's simply no good reason to. And that's why, even in the age of modern aviation, Antarctica remains one of the least traveled skies on Earth.